I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Village Board for January 16th, 2024. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
President DeSimone,
Here.
Trustee Franz,
Yes.
Trustee Fry,
Yes.
Trustee Lomax.
Here.
Trustee Penicola.
Here.
Trustee Perez.
Here.
That's six.
At this time, we'll move to public comment. Does anyone wish to address the board? And if so, please approach the podium and state your name.
Yes, we have three. Mr. Robert Benson.
Good evening and Happy New Year to everybody. I'm here just to talk, this is public comments, so I just wanted to let the people of Bensonville and the residents within the Fenton School District know that on March 19th, 2024, there's going to be a primary election, and Fenton has chose to put another referendum on. This will be the third that they're going to ask the voters to approve to raise real estate taxes. It's going to be for an additional $65 million for building improvements. They'll have information, they do have information on the website. This will be the third attempt. The first, they asked for $129 million. The second, they asked for $99 million, so we're moving in the right direction. But they've already done, you have to take into account, they've already done $10 million where they spent money out of their, well, it's actually taxpayer money that they had bankrolled into their account, and they're also spending $32 million on a new wing that's for STEM. If anybody wants to know, they can ask me later on what that stands for, or maybe there's a lot of people that know that. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. It's going to raise your taxes. That's in addition to the taxes that they're going to raise again. And they somehow made an announcement that they figured out a way to get more money at their last meeting. They do something similar to what the village does, where they tell you they put their meetings on the web, so it's helpful. Again, I know this isn't specific, and I am speaking at the Fenton board too. I just want to I believe that there might be more people that watch this. So that's the reason why I'm coming here to speak. And that's it. I think it's under 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Minute 45. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Jake Hines.
Can you please go to the podium?
Yeah, please.
Hi all, as I mentioned, I'm here on behalf of the property owner for 471 Podland. I know it is scheduled for later on in the agenda. I'm not sure if you want me to get into the details now, but we are here for a 6B renewal. 6B was originally passed in 2013, and we're asking for it to be renewed for another 10 years with 2 years of burn off.
Thank you.
And the third gentleman is Jack Kozar. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for making the sacrifice and coming out in this cold. So we are here too for a 6B renewal application, 485 Podland. The owner, Atanas Ivakamov, is here, and he actually just bought a house here in Bensonville, so he's soon to be a local Bensonville resident with you. We're actually here basically hat in hand. Atanas owns a small business, mechanical engineers, over at 485 Podland. And he too has had a 6B tax reduction for the last 10 years. It is now due. And if we don't get this tax reduction, or just basically all we're asking for is keeping the status quo, his taxes are going to go up from what he's paying right now, about $27,000, all the way up to $70,000 and then eventually $90,000. So he wants to stay here long-term, wants to add stability to that property and that neighborhood. But, you know, it's obviously concerned if those taxes are gonna go up $40,000 to $60,000. So I know on page 3 of your application, it does say some additional considerations that you guys can consider when making this determination. And number one, it's to retain existing Bensonville businesses, which is exactly what we're doing right now, and occupying a building could be difficult to lease. And I think this property is, in part, very difficult to lease. I submitted some recent pictures of just the gravel road that is on Podland and how bad it gets, the conditions of it. Originally, Atanas wanted to bring basically a truck dealership there, but it wouldn't work out because of all the dust and all the mud. It just didn't make sense. He would take people out to look at these nice brand-new trucks and have to wash them and clean them constantly, so it didn't really work out. So he pivoted. He was able to get some tenants in there. He is one of the tenants, so he's there every day, with the exception of times where he's traveling and whatnot. But, I mean, he plays an active role in this building. And like I said, he just bought a house here in Bensonville too, so he's
30 seconds.
Sure. You know, so he is a local. So really what we're asking is to keep the status quo. He would like to do some additional improvements on the property, one of which would be if that road is going to be resurfaced or paved at some point, he wants to resurface that yard. So that is something that he wants to work on and do. We're just asking keep the status quo for him so his taxes don't go up $40,000, $60,000. Thank you very much. We'll be here, happy to answer any questions as this comes up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, that's it.
This will conclude public comment. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the December 12th, 2023 special village board meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any modifications to the minutes? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Penicola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries and the minutes are approved. The next item of business is to approve the warrant in the amount of $2,111,306.40. Is there a motion to approve the warrant?
Yeah,
We have a
motion.
mo-
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the warrant? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Penicola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries and the warrant is approved. There are no items on the consent agenda. Under administration, number 1 is an ordinance amending section 3-3-5 of the Bensonville Village Code Liquor Regulations, Class E2 liquor licenses to decrease the number of Class E2 liquor licenses from 3 to 2. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
You have a motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Being a motion and a second, any discussion?
Yes, sir. This is the liquor license that was at 1100 Route 83, the space formerly occupied by Bocce Pizza. Bocce moved up the road on 83 into Elk Grove Village, which has now vacated that premises, and therefore the liquor license, so being consistent with village policy, we are reducing the number of outstanding liquor licenses.
Any questions from the board? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Trustee Spragg,
Oh, she.
I'm
okay?
sorry.
She went to the restroom.
All right. Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Penicola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 5.
Motion carries and the ordinance is passed. 2 is a resolution approving an agreement with Avion Consultants LLC and the Village of Bensonville for aviation consulting services for 2024. Is there a motion to approve this
You
resolution?
have a motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
Yes, so this is one of our annual renewals of a contract. Avion Consultants has been with the village for well over 10 years at this point. The primary there used to be the sound manager for Seattle Tacoma Airport. He has his own consulting business, so he assists me with ONCC issues and as well as the flight flight rotation plan, as well as the technical writing that we engage in when communicating with the FAA. He has maintained his pricing at $150 an hour since the contract began.
Any questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 5.
Motion carries and the resolution is approved. 3 is a resolution authorizing the village manager the authority to execute a cyber liability policy recommended by Alante Insurance Services Incorporated and not to exceed amount of $30,000. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
You have a motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
There being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
Thank you, sir. One of the several insurance policies the village carries is a cyber insurance policy. This has been a growing concern for most municipalities and local governments. We used our broker, Alliant, to sit down with our risk manager, Marisol Leyva, as well as myself, to identify the village's needs for cyber insurance. They went out to market, approached 14 different insurance companies, and identified this policy for us in amount to not exceed $30,000.
Any questions from the board? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries and the resolution is approved. Under Community and Economic Development is a request to support a Class 6B Cook County property tax incentive for 471 Podland Drive, Bensville, Illinois. Is there a motion to deny this request?
You have a motion.
Do I have a second?
You have a second?
Being a motion and a second, is there discussion? Curtis?
Yeah, and so these next two requests are both for the 6Bs, who are the two public speakers you heard earlier. So I'll probably get into a little bit more on this first one, but it kind of pertains to both. So if you're not familiar with the 6B, this is a Cook County property tax incentive on industrial properties. It reduces the assessment level from 25% down to 10% for 10 years, and then there's a step up for 2 years. So both these properties received their initial 6Bs in 2013. They're basically seeking renewals because they're coming off of that 10-year assessment at the 10% level. It's meant to encourage industrial development, offer a real estate tax incentive, development of new industrial facilities, the rehabilitation of existing industrial structures, and the industrial reutilization of abandoned buildings. 471 is Surface Tech. They came in, they bought it when it was a vacant property, put some money into it, and have grown their business there for the last 10 years. I've got some pretty extensive numbers run in your packets. So staff, we estimate that the property during this 10-year period has saved it's probably just around $390,000 in property taxes. So that's a 10-year incentive. That's not something, if we were doing a TIF deal or something, that's not something we're typically handing out as a village. So village perspective your staff perspective is that we gave them the incentive, they moved to the property, they did their investment, and it's not meant to be an ongoing incentive. We don't typically recommend or would recommend, unless they're gonna add addition to the property or do some substantial investment that's gonna raise the property values, we don't feel that reissuing or recertifying the 6B is necessary. We gave them the investment on the front end. It should be noted that when you're reducing property taxes on one, it doesn't mean that, the county doesn't get their taxes. That tax still gets spread out among the other property payers, within the county. So everybody else is making the difference up for when that assessment level is reduced, because the county's still getting their levy, same as we do when we're, issuing taxes here as the village. So, should be noted, so, if you go into the 20-year property tax bill, so going all the way back to 2003, the property taxes were actually substantially higher. This thing is, over 20 years, has actually gone down. It's almost a 36% drop in property tax value. Now, since the 6B, it's actually gone up in property tax value. It has a substantial rise. I've actually got an error in my percent one in this one, because I was working on both of these at the same time. So they're actually right around a 50% increase since the 6B was given. I want to note that there are 4 eligibility requirements for a Class 6B. This is per Cook County's bulletin on a 6B. So real estate is used primarily for industrial purposes. It qualifies that. 2 is there's either new construction, substantial rehabilitation, or substantial reoccupancy of abandoned property. This is the one I want to flag. The other 2 are there's an eligibility application supporting documents that they got to file, and then the municipality has to support by resolution or ordinance their application with the county. So going back to number two, staff doesn't feel that there's really that they meet this qualification. So it's not new construction, it's not substantial rehabilitation, it's not substantial reoccupancy of an abandoned property. I think each of these were at the time of the initial issuance. We don't believe it is now. Now, they may have a case that property value, property taxes could go up. That doesn't mean they won't be able to appeal their taxes and potentially lower them slightly. But staff doesn't feel that this should be an ongoing incentive. They've received essentially a 13-year incentive, so that's why we are recommending denial.
Questions from the board?
I just want to know, it's just been a matter of policy in recent years. We haven't done a 6B deal in quite a few years, so it's just a policy decision that the board's been making historically.
Do we have any other properties that have this going on right
There
now?
are a
Vince?
few. This only applies to the Cook County portion because the 6B program is a Cook County program. So there's aren't many opportunities. There are a few more out there. Chris, you know the number.
1050 Sesame and that one on Cook and
Right.
County Line in Sesame.
There's
are
a
two
handful.
more. Yeah,
Staying
there's only
consistent
a
with
few.
village policy, I would anticipate that as those roll off over time, we would not renew those either.
Are they looking to improve the properties in any way, shape, and form to qualify for?
So this property particularly, 471, has noted that they do want to make some investments, but the investments are maintenance and equipment related, and those typically aren't investments that raise property values. And so we love the investment, but if we, in my mind, the reason you give the incentive on a 6B is you want to see the property values increase. You want to either see new building or something that's going to help the rest of the district, and that's not what we're seeing here.
Any other questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries and the request is denied.
Your Honor, if I can interject real quick, just that housekeeping, can we move phones away from the microphones? We're getting some static feedback back in the control room.
Yeah. Lawyer.
DC Dooley, I'm not sure if your radio's on. Thank you.
We good?
I got no phone.
It's the attorney, by the way.
We'll blame her.
Request to support, number two is request to support a Class 6B Cook County property tax incentive for 485 Podland Drive, Bensville, Illinois. Is there a motion to deny this request?
You have a motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
There being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
Yeah, so all the relevant Cook County 6B, language I just discussed fits here. Couple notes, so this property has estimated to save $492,440 over the 10 years that it's received the 6B. So actually more than the 471 Podland. The 20-year property tax bill history, percent change, it's down about 44%. Since receiving the 6B, it's up just over 8%, so not as much of a rise as the 471 property. I note the 4 eligibility requirements again. We don't feel that it fits that number 2 eligibility requirement. Similarly, this property owner has talked about possibly making investments. Although this property owner is relying on us potentially doing something with Podland, which at this time, there are no immediate plans to do. So we don't see any of substantial investment being made into the property. Again, there's no rise in property tax value associated with this property. We just don't feel there's a need to extend the 6B on this one.
Any questions on this property from the board?
Based on what this gentleman said earlier, it sounded like you were looking to make improvements to the building. Am I correct or am I not correct on that?
That is correct. Aquinas is looking to resurface, repave the yard, and make improvements that way.
Nothing to the property, though?
I'm sorry.
Nothing to the property of the building itself?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind. Nice to meet you, everybody.
If possible, would it be possible to go to the podium? This is being recorded, and we don't pick up otherwise.
Yes, I'm the owner of 485 Podland. Atanasi Vakimov is my name. We've been there for 6-7 years almost. And the original idea was to really have a nice dealership, all modern with all amenities in order to be able to sell used trucks, but in the amount of $120,000 each. We've been priced back then when we purchased the property that the street, if I can call it, will be finished, will be made nice and neat. That did not happen. We're still waiting for it. There is no point of us to invest any money, even if we did invest quite a bit of money during those past years. But I can promise you one thing, as soon as that street is finished, we'll have a brand new facility. We'll have a nice facility for used truck sales, repairs, beautiful offices, and all this. We're waiting for it. We like the location. We like Bensenville. As I said, I actually bought a house, which is like 5 minutes away from the warehouse. That makes me more comfortable to be there most constantly and every day-to-day operations. But again, the street, it's not like you cannot get into a nice location driving through that street. Me as an investor, my hands are tied. I cannot do anything. I've been fighting it. I've been washing trucks day and night, keep them nicer. So when a customer arrives, they want to spend $100,000 on a truck. It's tough. It's been really tough. And we've been having that conversation with the city, progress on the street, 2022, 2023, 2024, nothing happens. We actually also had a conversation if me as an investor can pitch towards the repairs of the street, which I'm okay with it, even if they raise me the taxes for it, and we pay over time for whatever the bill is for it. I'm okay with it. I just want my business to prosper. We have plans, big plans for it, but one word is the street. It's in terrible condition. It's not even a street. People are crawling. Emergency services, fire department, it takes them 5-10 minutes just to go through all the puddles and all the bumps to my location. If anything happens, what do? I mean, everything burns down, I'm assuming. So, saying this, we have a big plans for it, but how do we move forward and we pay more taxes if from point A to point B, it's not a street, it's a creek. And I have people complaining, my customers giving me bad reviews. That's not my fault. I have no power over that. I cannot move forward.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, how long has Podland been in the current condition it's been in? It's never been a street, correct?
No.
It's actually not even platted as a street, it's a piece of property that is owned by the village. So it's
Yeah.
been like that since I've been here for 10 years or 13 years.
Joe and I have racked our heads on what to do with Podland. It's a unique challenge for us. It is an industrial district that has a gravel road. The problem is that gravel road is not a road. You're not wrong on that. It is platted. It's a pen. You can click on it and we own it. But if we were to pave it from curb to curb, we are going to cause immediate stormwater issues for every one of those buildings. If we were going to curb it and try to manage that stormwater, we immediately lose parking for all those buildings. So it's really, am I missing anything, Joe? It's a catch-22 on what to do with it. Right now, there are no plans in the CIP to pave Podland because it's somewhat of an unsolvable problem. If you're interested in looking at other properties for your business and expanding that, we'd be happy to have those conversations. It just,
We had a conversation like 5 years ago
okay.
to switch to another property and nothing happened. I mean,
Right.
clearly gave me the heads up that if I buy that property, because before I bought it, we had a meeting, yes?
I remember meeting, yeah, but I think
And
there were
at that
no,
meeting, I was promised that you gave me a plan with the village recommendation for that street to be done with the numbers, like $1.5 million
This
We
is it.
had that,
Right.
and I agreed to it, and I say, yes, I'm for it. Raise my taxes, pitch all the tenants on that street, or whatever the owners said.
Right.
And you said, yes, if we get 50% or more, then we'll fix it. We got that, and nothing happened afterwards.
I don't believe we ever got to 50%.
We did not get to 50%.
We didn't get it? We didn't get the number?
We didn't get the number that we needed, therefore we stopped pursuing it, because once we apply for it, if we don't get it, we have to wait another 2 years before we can even apply for another SSA. So at that point, we did not get the 50%. We were like three or four votes away from it. And with only 15 or 20 parcels that are on there, it wasn't going to pass.
Can we revisit that?
It can be revisited.
Once this is denied, can they reapply at a later date?
I think you have to wait 2 years
For,
before you
for
can
the
apply.
6B?
For the 6B?
That I don't.
I believe.
Yeah, I
believe
mean,
so.
I don't know. I would assume you'd file a separate, where you can file the application with the county at any
You
time.
guys know that answer?
I don't. I don't know what the application is.
Yeah, as I
There-
say,
Okay.
they technically can't submit to the county if they don't have our approval. So if at a later date, we decide to give them a new 6B, then they go to the county with the application.
Yeah, but if we can get the businesses on board to repave that street,
So if we were gonna follow that method, that's another policy decision we'd have to make. The historic method, we're doing this on Sesame right now. The business owners on Sesame united and joined up and said, all of us agree that we want this road redone. So we are now pursuing an SSA to redo that road at the bequest of the property owners themselves.
right, that's what I'm saying. So if we can
Right.
get the property owners on Potland to do the
Right.
same thing.
So that was
then
the
we can have
property
this
owners coming
conversation
together.
Next year.
Right, that was the property owners coming together and approaching us, so that would be the way to do that.
So the other buildings on Potland don't wanna pitch in to pave the street.
I mean, if I can say, I'm at the end of the street,
Mhm.
and I'm in the worst position. Because of the pitch of the street, I'm at the end of it, all the water comes down, stops in front of us.
Mm.
We tried to work that, we did some improvements on it, but, I believe a couple of years ago, when the huge warehouse was built there, pretty much stopped the water. They're probably 2 inches or more higher than the original level of the street. So we constantly have water there, and it's not like a couple of inches. Sometimes it gets up to half a feet. I mean, it's really something, and I wish maybe you can have a look.
I know all about it. I know we send the grader down there once or twice a year.
We downsized. Every time I have a customer that draws that nice clean truck on a test drive through that street, coming back, we spend another couple of days to bring that truck to the same clean, visible. We're not talking about pennies, we're talking about substantial, expensive trucks, and how we can prosper if, and we tried through the years to do this every day, but now it's really worse. Even the customer arrives to our location and we be all shiny and nice and clean, and all their nice cars getting dirty and beat up for those, whatever, 500 feet. They leave and they're disappointed. It's just.
I understand what you're telling me, and I know Potland's an issue.
It's really tough. I mean, we tried.
Potland's been an issue for more than,
Since you were alive,
The
it's
thing
been
is,
like that.
we had some promises during the years.
I don't think there was
that
any
gives us
promises
money.
made. I can tell you that right now, the 7 years that I've been up here, I'm well aware of it. I know we needed at least 50% to go ahead and do it. That was probably the promise, if we got
Again, I'm
50%.
for it.
I agree, and I applaud that. I applaud that on your behalf, but
All my neighbors are for it.
apparently they're not. Maybe they're telling you they are, but
The
they're,
ones in the beginning, they don't care, which is understandable because you enter the street and they're here and there.
Mhm.
But the tenants like me that are way on the back, like, I mean, we suffer from it. That's
well, I'll have a meeting with staff to discuss
that's
Podland.
substantial cost just to operate business. It's much more than a normal business to operate. It's cost of keeping the trucks up and
We'd be happy to revisit the SSA if we had a letter from 50% of the property owners saying, we want this road redone, and we understand the cost that it's gonna be. We would be happy to reconsider that.
Okay.
This is why that incentive is so important to him, because at least if that street's not getting done and he can't operate his business to the full extent that he wants, at least he's getting some reduction.
I get it, but he had $500,000 in reduction already.
Over time, and he hasn't owned the building the whole time. So-
7 out of the 10 years.
Right. But at the same time, Bentonville doesn't take that full $500,000, it goes to the county and they get a portion.
Bentonville gets 10% of that, so it's not like we're denying his 6B is gonna put Bentonville in the billions, right?
But it has more of an effect on him.
I understand that.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I understand that.
Like,
And I
it's a
get it,
small
but,
part on Bensenville,
but-
it's a big part on him.
and I'm not trying to, to try to downplay this, but when the properties were bought there, they saw the street. And I know nobody promised them that the street was gonna be paved under my watch. Maybe on the previous people, but not under this board's watch. I know they wanted to get 50% of them to do it, then that would have been all right to do. But if these people don't want to pay for that, how do we make them pay for it? How do we make them get to that 50% number?
I guess we just gotta go door to door and talk to everybody.
And we've
That's
tried
what-
that once.
That's what the Sesame property owners did. They went door to door.
The whole thing.
Yeah, I'll pay for the whole street. I'll pay for the whole street. Give me some incentive. I'll pay for it. Give me the plans.
That's a $2 million plus project, right?
With stormwater,
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, if I get my business together, I have numerous clients that know that I'm existing and I'm there. Why switch locations and start over?
Your Honor, staff's
pay for
recommend, we need to wrap this up. This isn't the
Tell me
forum
how
here.
they do it, I'll pay for it.
Let's
I'll
go
get the
through this,
financing.
let's go through this and we'll set up a meeting. How's that, okay? All right.
All right, so, Your Honor, so staff's recommendation is to not, to deny the request.
So call the roll, please.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee France?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
6.
Motion carries, request is denied. Set up a meeting with Curtis or Evan at the end of this meeting. I prefer it on a Friday if we could do it, please, so I can be part of that meeting. Is that okay? All right. Finance no report. Under the police department is a resolution for approval of a 5-year service agreement between Flock Group Incorporated and the Village of Bentonville for the purchase, service, and support of Flock Falcon cameras. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a motion?
Do we have a second? There being a motion and a second, any discussion? We all know what Flock is. You wanna talk about it real quick? DC?
Deputy Chief Dooley, please.
So we
Welcome.
currently have 6 Flock cameras. They're license plate readers. They're not moving cameras. They're not catching motion. They're just catching snippets, pictures. We want to get more. They've been keeping track of it. I'm jealous of the detectives now. I wish I had these when I was in detectives.
They're the best.
They've solved over 30 crimes, most notably the fatal car accident on Irving. A lot of businesses have surveillance cameras, but they just capture an image. They don't capture the license plate. So the surveillance image will capture a white Honda traveling eastbound. Now you go to the license plate reader where it actually captures the plate. Just last week, they solved another felony theft. They got the license plate. They went up, interviewed the guy right away. He admitted it. They already had him there. It's a lot more real time. So we're just expanding what we have. We're asking for 6 more cameras, 5 that are stationary and 1 that can be moved. And that'll be key too for trouble spots, hot spots. There's a certain area that's getting hit. We can move the mobile license plate reader to that area for a while. And the chief was able to get a grant from the Attorney General's office to offset some of the cost of this, to bring it down. But there is an annual, it's a software cost. The cameras themselves, like everything, are cheap. It's the software cost for the detectives to be able to log in at any time and get to access to the data.
Yeah, this technology, as you know, Mayor, has revolutionized policing. Pennsylville's all in on it.
I love this technology. I mean, for example, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, it can actually, so if a stolen car comes through the village and it hits one of our village cameras, it goes to the MDTs and to the officers on patrol as well. So they know, hey, a car came down 80, I'm not gonna say where the cameras are, I guess, 83, and it entered the village. And in theory, we're supposed to kind of gravitate towards that area to try to look for,
Correct, and-
or a wanted person, or a missing child.
And anything you put in there, right, you can put the detectives, that's in our technology, capability with the technology, they can put the plates in there that they're looking for any type of reason, missing person, you know,
Right.
elderly, you know,
And
missing
then
juvenile.
with Flock, we share with other departments, correct? Like where I'm at, I can look at yours and you can look at mine.
Correct, and one of our detectives that I was talking about this said, we share, anyone that requests, we share with. So one of their crimes, the car was found in Florida on a license plate reader of a municipality in Florida that's sharing with us.
Wow.
When we agreed to share with them, we probably never thought we would solve a crime there.
Right.
And go figure it out. So they showed me the map. It's probably 30 states that we share data with.
Right.
So that's
So-
pretty amazing.
On the policy side of it, we did get a grant for $18,000 for this year. That's a 1-year grant. We're going to absorb that going forward. I think it's a wise use of money in future years.
Any questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries, the resolution is approved. Under Public Works is an ordinance authorizing the village to borrow funds from the IEPA Public Water Supply Loan Program for the water supply pressure adjusting station replacement project. Is there a motion?
You have a
Do we
motion?
have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
Joe?
Yeah,
the
so back on
ordinance-
April 11th of last year, we approved ordinance 9-2023. This basically served as a debt ordinance, which allowed us to go ahead and apply for an IEPA loan for a pressure adjusting station. It's basically an ordinance that promises the EPA will pay back the money. At that time, the village was seeking a 15-year loan in the amount of just over $7.5 million. At our last meeting in December, we actually amended that ordinance to bring that term down to 10 years and also change our funding source so that we'll be paying it completely out of the TIF district. Since that time of our last meeting, we've had discussions with the EPA about the possibility of increasing the amount of our loan. We did bid the project out. It did come in about $1.2 million higher than what the original loan application was 2 years ago when we applied for it. So we were asking if there's any other funding that was out there that could supplement that difference in the cost. They do have a thing called bypass funding. This is for all those projects that they initially had agreements with or pre-agreements with that may or may not be ready to actually initiate their project. They pool all that money together and try to distribute that to any projects that may need it. So there is a possibility, and I'll emphasize it's a possibility, that they could have money available for us in the next month and a half to put towards this loan, to increase the loan, which would then increase our principal but have us pay it over the same amount of time. So by passing this ordinance, we've amended it once again and just actually rewrote the ordinance to 8.895 million. So if we approve this ordinance, it's showing the EPA that we will pay back the loan. If we don't get the bypass funding, it is a higher number, so they know if we can afford to pay this amount, that we're also gonna be able to afford to pay the original 7.5 million. So it's just a process we're going through to hopefully secure an extra $1.2 million in grant funding to help us pay for this project.
Joe has been relentless on this one, finding money at every turn, and finances 3 different ways at this point now. So, thank you, Joe.
Any questions from the board? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries and the ordinance is passed. 2 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a construction engineering services agreement for the Church Road Main Street LAFO project to BLA Incorporated of Itasca, Illinois, in the not-to-exceed amount of $155,684. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a
Do we
motion?
have a second?
Second.
Being a motion, a second, do we have discussion?
Yeah, so one of our first roadway projects that we anticipate to hit the streets this spring is the Church Road Main Street LAFO project. You're probably wondering what's a LAFO project? It's a local agency functional overlay, so basically resurfacing of the roadway. So this project received surface transportation funds and just over $600,000 to cover both portions of the construction and the construction engineering. The project's scheduled to be on IDOT's March letting. The design is done. We're ready to go as soon as they get that bid out. The construction project will actually be run through IDOT, so they'll pay the bills, we'll reimburse them. But the construction engineering is one that we actually have a contract with an engineer to oversee the project. So we've asked for a proposal, actually went through the QBS process because of the state funding. We evaluated proposals from 6 different consulting engineers. We selected Bollinger, or actually BLA, they were no longer Bollinger Lack, BLA Incorporated to take on that role for this project. Their price after negotiations was $155,684. So once we get this approved, we'll send the paperwork over to IDOT, and then we'll be ready on our end to start this project.
Questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries and the resolution is approved. 3 is a resolution authorizing preventative maintenance agreement for Edge 1 and Edge 2 with Primastar Mechanical Services in a not to exceed amount of $40,000. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a
Do
motion.
we have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
So Primastar is our preferred contractor that helps us out with our components over at the 2 ice rinks. Obviously, temperature is very important in an ice rink to keep the ice frozen and to keep the area humidity control so that we can keep that ice frozen. We do that with compressors, we do that with dehumidification systems. Primastar is kind of the contractor of choice to help us both preventive maintenance and reactive maintenance on those components. They provide us with 2 different agreements, one for the Edge 1 and one for the Edge 2. To do that work for the upcoming year, the cost for both of them was just under $40,000, so we're looking for approval to enter into both these agreements totaling just under $40,000.
Questions from the board? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries and resolution is approved. 4 is a resolution authorizing purchase order to Allied Painting Contractors for epoxy floor refinish and coating at the Village Theater in a not to exceed amount of $14,500. Is there a motion?
You have a motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
So the renovations at the theater will enter into its next phase, which is going to be removing and replacing the seating. Staff plans to remove the seating starting the week of January 28th. Once it's removed, we're looking to have a contractor go ahead and prepare the floor for a painted coating to put on there. So that's what this proposal is for. Proposals were sought, and Allied Painting Contractors submitted the lowest proposal, the amount of $14,454. So again, this is going to be for the labor and materials to put down a new flooring system in the 2 different theaters at our facility.
I also point out that we will be shutting the theater down temporarily to do this phase of the renovations. Joe, remember the timeline on that?
It looks like it's going to be from January 28th through March 1st.
We're going to try to keep the ice cream shop open. I'm not entirely convinced we're going to have enough sales to make it make business sense in the winter, but we're going to see if there's still demand for it. So the theater will be down, the ice cream shop will be open. If we don't have the sales to support the ice cream shop, we'll shut that down until we reopen in time for the Bensville Arts Council Short Film Festival.
We have a rough idea when the sign is going to be complete?
Curtis?
Yeah, just got the email update today. There was some delay on some of his LED light stripping for that thing. And I think he said that he would reach out next week sometime to talk about installation first week of February, basically.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, good. Any questions from the board?
How long do you think that you're going to wait until making the decision on the ice cream shop?
I think Sean and I will be in discussions that week, seeing what sales are like. They're not expensive part-time employees, which is nice, but they do still cost something. So we'll make that decision in concert.
Mac, if you go buy 5 or 6 cones a day.
It doesn't take much to keep it profitable.
From end of January to March, we'll be all right. Any other questions from the board? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Pistachio.
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. 5 is a resolution authorizing the waive competitive bidding and executing a purchase order to Solinas LLC for purchase and delivery of polymer in the not to exceed amount of $33,000. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah.
Motion to have a second.
Second.
Being a motion and a second, do we have discussion?
Yeah, so these next 9 items on the agenda are all related to our wastewater treatment facility and our operation. So this first one is polymer. This is a product that we use in our process to thicken our sludge so that we can land apply it. The makeup of our wastewater changes every year, so every year we're evaluating and testing different polymers. And once we find the one that works best, we usually use that for the rest of the year. So we've done that at the end of last year. We tested all the polymer. We're still recommending that we go forward with a product that's called ZTAG 8847 FSB. That's how customizable these polymers are.
I would recommend it.
It provides us the best product at the cheapest price. And when we look at the pricing, we don't just look at the price for the material, but we look for the price at how much dewatering we can do, which then reduces the amount of cubic yards of solid that we have to then haul, which is another item I'll be talking about later. So this product is been working well for us, so it's our recommendation to go continue to do this in the amount of $33,000, which is the estimate of what it would take to complete out the year.
Questions from the board on the polymer purchase? Call the roll.
Trustee
No.
Carmona?
Nothing.
Yes.
I got nothing.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries, the resolution is approved. 6 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a 2-year contract for 2024 and 2025 with PVS Mini Bulk Incorporated for purchase and delivery of sodium thisulfite in the not to exceed amount of $51,700. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a
Do I
motion.
have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second. Joe?
So sodium thiosulfate is a chemical used to neutralize chlorine.
Mansplain.
You gotta get your sulfites and your sulfates wrong.
What's this? Bill Nye, the science guy.
Engineer.
Transitioning this year from sodium thios to bisulfate to thiosulfate. Less caustic, more safe for our people to handle, cost was about the same. So we went out for proposals. We got 2 proposals back for a 2-year contract with PBS and Mini and the lowest of the 2-year cost is about $51,700. So it's our recommendation to approve the contract with them, and you won't have to hear about it again.
Questions from the board? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. It's that time of year again. Resolution authorizing a 1-year contract extension for sludge hauling with Stewart Spreading in the not to exceed amount of $180,000. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a motion.
Do we have a second? Joe, let us know about our sludge hauling capabilities.
I think
Sludge
you
hauling
guys-
has never been more exciting this year, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
This year is a good year for
It's a good
sludge,
year for
at least for
sludge.
sludge haulers. So the state actually approved a,
Do they get a special license plate?
no, they get prevailing wage now. So, which means that our costs are gonna be going up a little bit this year. But we have worked out an agreement with our existing contractor, Stewart Spreading. We've actually reached out to multiple contractors that do this and got some preliminary pricing from them. Stewart Spreading's price is still the cheapest price for us. They're going up from about $23.32 a cubic yard up to $29.82, but this was still cheaper than most of the contractors that we contacted. So it's our recommendation to go forward with another 1-year contract. We'll have 2 additional 1-year contracts that we may be able to execute mutually if we agree upon it in the next couple of years.
Board, any questions? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries and the resolution is approved. 8, resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase order to Hayes Mechanical for the purchase of a digester crossover valves in the not to exceed amount of $40,800. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Your motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, Joe?
So last year, we experienced a failure on one of our digester crossover valves. We repaired that one under emergency authorization of the board, which got us to thinking about the other 3 that we have in there. We did some inspections, and those other 3 look to be failing in the same way. So we did budget 4, and we're looking to replace those 3 valves this year. We went out and got proposals from 3 qualified contractors. Hayes Mechanical submitted the lowest of the 3 proposals in the amount of $40,798. We have worked with Hayes before, a very reliable, very good contractor, so it's our recommendation to approve.
Questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's six.
Motion carries, the resolution is approved. 9 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase order to APG Neuros Incorporated for the purchase of a replacement variable frequency drive, otherwise known as a VFD, in the not to exceed amount of $13,200. Is there a motion to approve?
Your
Do I
motion.
have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, Joe?
So VFDs help us prolong the life of our components. Instead of doing a hard start and a hard stop, we can actually ramp up the power to a pump or a motor and then ramp it back down. So it extends the life of our components. The VFDs on these products, we have 3 $1 million blowers that we're trying to protect. So that's what this is gonna do. The manufacturer of the VFDs came out last year with a new generation of them that they're recommending. So we did replace or purchase one last year. This is our second year to purchase the second one. We're planning on budgeting for the third one next year. So it's just to try to keep up with the technology, keep up with the different generations of VFDs that are out there so that we can protect our investment in those blowers.
Questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries and resolution is approved. 10 is a resolution authorizing a purchase order to Hayes Mechanical for purchase of screw, pump, isolation gates, and seal replacement in the not to exceed amount of $62,175. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Being a motion and a second, Joe?
So our wastewater treatment plant includes 4 different gates that help control the amount of wastewater coming into our plant. As part of our plant upgrade in 2016, we did replace 2 of them that needed it. The other 2 were in good shape at that time, but now they're 40 years old and we're looking to replace those. So these gates, again, will help us isolate so we can do maintenance on our 4 main screw pumps, which is the backbone of our wastewater treatment plant. Proposals were requested from 3 qualified contractors. Again, Hayes Mechanical came in submitting the lowest bid in the amount of $62,175, and we are recommending approval.
Questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. 11 is a resolution authorizing a purchase order to Univar Solutions for the purchase of sodium hypochlorite in the not to exceed amount of $30,000. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Joe, did I say that right?
You said it perfectly, but I could have made it easier by just saying bleach. That's basically what sodium hypochlorite is. We purchased an industrial version of the bleach. It's 15%. Similar to how we purchase fuel, though, we actually rent our tanks that hold our bleach product from a company called Univar, and then we basically will pay the market value of what the chemical is at that time. Right now, it's tracking at about $2.51 a gallon. We use about 11,500 gallons a year, so that equates to just under $30,000. So we're looking to approve a purchase order to Univar in the amount of $30,000 to take care of our bleach for 2024.
Don't say bleach.
The sodium
are gonna say-
hypochlorite.
Certain people are gonna say we spent $30,000 on bleach.
It's strong bleach,
Industrial bleach.
industrial.
Any questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. 12 is a resolution authorizing a purchase order to Airzon USA Corp. for emergency exchange and motor rebuild of a digester blower number 3 in the not to exceed amount of $25,441. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion.
Do I have a second? Being a motion, a second, Joe.
All right, so we're back to blowers, but this is our digester blowers versus our aeration blowers. These are about $250,000 apiece, and we have 4 of them. So these blowers utilize 24/7, 365. We are always pushing air into our digesters to get them to perform the way they're supposed to. We have one of them that has failed, and therefore we are not performing our plant at the best quality at this point. So we're looking to get this one replaced with a new blower. And while we're at it, we're gonna try to rebuild the old motor that's in front of it so that we put in 2 pieces that are at the same age so we can expect the same life expectancy out of them. So we got a proposal to do both of that from the actual manufacturer of the blower. It's Airzon USA Corporation. The amount of the work is just over $25,000 and staff does recommend approval.
Questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. 13 is a resolution authorizing a purchase order to Tri-R Systems Incorporated for emergency purchase and installation of a turbo blower in the not to exceed amount of $11,800. Is there a motion to approve?
You have a motion.
Second? Being a motion and a second, Joe?
Let's go back to the aeration blower now. So if you recall, I had brought one of my employees in here back in September or November to compliment him on a fire that broke out at the wastewater treatment plant. This is actually the repair of that fire. We had initiated with Tri-R to do a replacement of a component of our MCC, which is our control center, basically the electrical components in the brains of the wastewater treatment plant. So we executed a contract with them to do the repair, and then we realized we never brought it to you because it's over $10,000. So I'm bringing it to you now. The repair still hasn't been done, where they've had about a 2-month lead time on the parts that we needed to make this repair. So we're hoping to get this done in February, which kind of triggered the, hey, we never brought this to the board. So bringing it to the board for the first time. Tri-R is an electrical contractor that's familiar with our facility and can do the work in the amount of $10,800.
So this is a non-budgeted item, correct?
This is a non-budgeted item.
Questions from the board? Call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries and the resolution is approved. On the recreation, Joe spends it. My man Sean brings it back in. Thank you very much. Resolution approving an ice arena license and facility use agreement with Northern Express Hockey Association. Is there a motion to approve this resolution? We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Sean, what do we got?
I will say, first of all, I've been known to spend some money too, and Joe's crew does a great job helping us out along the way. So, but yes, in recreation, we do a good job of offering programs and ice time. So getting tenants in, we've got the Northern Express Hockey Association whose home is in Park Ridge. Their ice rink is going down for a major renovation the end of February. And so they've signed a 1-year deal to come over by us to the tune of $290,000, which is good. On the bad side, the Chicago Mission will be relocating at the end of their current contract, but in the AAA hockey world, that's nothing new. Those organizations typically move around every 5 to 10 years, and we're going to miss them, but got a new tenant and hope to have some longevity moving forward next year.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Pena Cola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries, resolution is approved. Moving on to presidential remarks, I want to acknowledge and thank our Public Works Department, who did an excellent job this week with plowing the village streets. I know it was rough, it was cold. Our streets were safe and accessible for our residents and all of our first responders, so thank you very much. Just for information, a list of warming centers is located on the village's website, so check that out if you're in need of a warming center. And this is what I like to read. The senior center construction has begun once again here at Village Hall. We anticipate a completion in the spring. And Evan, how much did we get for our troubles in this?
We have been compensated $197,000 on top of finishing the senior center. So that's plus to the village.
Like we always said, we won't be out any money. We'll just be out time. So I'm looking forward to that completion and opening that up shortly, or opening that up in the spring. So in regards to that, our next senior lunch will be held February 2nd at the Green Street Grill. Doors open at 10 a.m. Please see the village website for more information. And on a somber note, and I'm shocked that you're even here, Rosa. Our condolences to your family on the passing of your mother. I know today actually was the funeral, and we're sorry for your loss, and we're here for you as a board and as a family and as a village. So our condolences are with you.
I appreciate it.
That's all I have. Village manager's report.
Thank you. I've got a somewhat unusual one this evening. I'll have Corey pull it up. So I have the rights to do this without your authority, but I do want your direction before I pull the trigger on it. There is this weird lot on Route 83, just south of Hillside, that is overgrown significantly, and it's encroaching onto 2 of the neighbors in the back there. We've tried to track down the property owners, and we've come up at a loss. I mean, Curtis was basically Facebooking people with the same last name at one point, trying to track this down. So we've done some work on it, but it needs to be remediated. And so what I'm thinking the plan will be is we'll post it notice to remediate, and then go in there and cut back the problem trees that are causing the problem. You can kind of see it better here. These huge branches that one homeowner can't be expected to deal with. You really can't even get to the property other than 83. The address is 291.
And there's no driveway entrance, there's no sidewalk entrance, and it's not big enough to build on, correct?
we don't know, yeah, you wouldn't be
Right?
able to put a driveway onto 83 right there anyway, so.
Yeah, it was oddly subdivided at some point, for whatever reason.
So the only option is if we find an owner that either one of those two houses can purchase that and just, yeah. Okay.
So, this is private property at the end of the day.
Right.
Do we go in as a village under our health, safety, and welfare mandates and trim these trees back, and then we would lien the property for the amount? Or do we hand it off to the homeowners to deal with on their own?
I mean, I don't think it's fair for the homeowners, it's not their property.
Right.
Right? I think, because I know the resident on Hillside has had some of the tree branches fall close to his home and in his building. I don't see a problem with go ahead and sending it out to be done. I don't want the village employees to do it,
Okay.
so to speak.
That's helpful.
Let's send that out.
So the plan would be then to get some quotes from contractors. Then we would have the contractors go do the work. We'd pay the contractors, we'd be out the money. I would then lien the property so when we ever find who this is, we can hopefully recoup some of our money.
I mean, any other thoughts on the board?
Joe, did you have an initial budget for what that would cost?
Yeah, so we did go out to proposal. We did get 3 proposals back. The lowest proposal is just under $6,000 to do the clearing of that.
Yeah, do we know the size of this lot?
We can figure, yeah, we do. I don't have. it.
Roughly?
Yeah, not very big. That home south there, and then that lot, there's 3 identical lots. They're like little rectangles. It's the most oddly shaped parcels along that whole stretch there, that it doesn't match anything else. It can't be more than 6,000 square feet, if that. I mean, yeah, it's pretty small.
And you can't access it
And you
anywhere.
can't access it. And it's owned separate. You know, neither of those property owners own it. So whether they sold it, they didn't sell that lot for whatever reason. And
Okay.
the property tax of record goes to is it Villa Park? I forget. It's an apartment. We've sent something there. It bounces back. When you try calling over there, they say they don't live here anymore.
Are the taxes paid on that property?
Taxes are paid though, but that's another thing that we're gonna reach out to the county and bug them about the taxes here. And
Okay.
what are they gonna do? So.
Okay. All right, yeah, so I think the board is in agreement to go ahead and,
Yeah, we don't need to vote on it. I just wanted
Yeah.
a direction from you guys. I appreciate the candid conversation. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
do we have a village attorney report?
I do not have a report this evening.
Is there any unfinished business to come before the board tonight?
We have none.
Is there any new business to come before the board tonight?
Seeing none,
Do we have executive session?
we do not.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Carmona?
Yes.
Trustee Franz?
Yes.
Trustee Fry?
Yes.
Trustee Lomax?
Yes.
Trustee Penicola?
Yes.
Trustee Perez?
Yes.
That's 6.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.